You know what Sony had? The Holy Trinity. Leo, Brad, and Margot. Who do you have?
It's Boy Party, and this week Shane and I are discussing Marvel Studios' latest film. It's Thunderbolts, starring Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan. Not super, not heroes, and not doing a podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Boy Party, the podcast about movies where multiple B-tier superhero characters are thrown together into a B-tier movie and, you know, shuffled out at the end of April and hope for the best. It's the Thunderbolts asterisk episode.
Yay.
We're not going to debate whether it's pronounced asterisk or asterix. It is asterisk.
I usually kind of just blend it.
I'm joined.
Asterisk.
Asterisk.
Ooh,
I'm joined by my fellow covert mercenary that I've been locked in a room with the intention that we will kill each other unless the room explodes first. It's Shane.
Good evening.
It's Boy Party. On this podcast, we discuss movies where two or more major stars share the screen. And this week, we're talking about Marvel's latest team-up movie featuring a ragtag band of unlikely heroes, Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan being our number one and number two billed stars who we're going to be discussing on today's episode. Also in the cast, David Harbour, Wyatt Russell, Hannah John Kamen, Louis Pullman, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Olga Kurylenko, and the fabulous Geraldine Viswanathan. Golden Boy nominee.
Yeah.
Not winner. Golden Boy nominee, 2025. The standout of this poor movie. We've just come back from seeing this film. It's on release this week. And it's the latest bit of Marvel intellectual property gouging. I would say the tone of the marketing has been Marvel's answer to Suicide Squad, but I'd like to say less off-putting, a bit less brash.
Yeah, it doesn't have the word suicide in the name.
Doesn't have any skull emojis.
No.
Doesn't have any lime green.
Doesn't have any torturing a woman in a jail cell.
No. It's a very neutered version of the villain insanity of the DC counterpart. But
yeah, if in many ways this deals with mental illness in a slightly different tone.
Yeah, so we may as well start by saying this is talk to your mates cinema of the highest degree. This is a movie that is desperately interested in shoehorning in trendy, modern mental health discourse for brownie points in a way that I found to be tacky and obvious and wildly uninteresting, and takes the story and the script in a direction that is really just very boring and drab by design, where the final third act action is basically based around someone having a psychotic episode, traumatic flashbacks, PTSD.
Yeah, but it just
not interesting.
Completely lacks any sort of screenwriting chops to make this interesting. Yeah. It also lacks any bravery to say anything interesting about anything ever.
Yeah.
So, because these films are completely neutered.
Yeah, it would kind of, on a certain level, make you long for the maximalist, horrifying nonsense that is Suicide Squad.
I thought you were going to say Charlie's Angels.
Oh, Charlie's Angels, sure. I would say that the Suicide Squad, thus the 2021 film, The Suicide Squad, is the best case scenario of this. That film has a very, the James Gunn movie has a pretty good relationship with its characters being a little bit unhinged. Throws people like Pete Davidson in there, like kind of public faces of mental illness in a kind of a somewhat ironic way of like, look, this film is weaponizing crazy people to entertain you. And I think that film works quite well. Thunderbolts is like, really just seems to want to take advantage of the fact that some of its main actors are well known for being in serious films that cool indie people enjoy, like the films of Ari Aster and Greta Gerwig and such, and to
and they made sure
that we knew that in the marketing, and to capitalize on that in order to make a film that hits buzzwords and bingo card points of depression and anxiety and a drug addiction, and not have any real three-dimensional interest in how those things affect people. More so just to be like, what if a superhero was a mental health villain?
Power came from their trauma.
Yeah. We saw a tweet about a week ago from a friend of the show, Alistair Ryder, who said that this was the mental health villain who gives people bad mental health, and it's a movie about talking to your friends, curing your mental health. And I couldn't believe how accurate a description that was, and it really frustrated me that the film descended into that in its third act. Anyway, this movie is directed by Jake Schreier, who is the man responsible for the incredibly forgettable John Green adaptation Paper Towns. He made the movie Robot and Frank with Frank Langella, which I liked at the time, but probably sucks in hindsight. And then he directed the Netflix show Beef, which was a huge hit in 2023. This was the Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong show about a pair of Asian American millennials who get into a beef over a road rage incident, and it drives them both insane. And I watched 1 or 2 episodes, didn't think it was great. Everybody on the internet was
It's a
going
big
nuts
Emmy
about it.
success, didn't it?
It won every Emmy, every Golden Globe. Huge hit. The second season's just finished filming. It has Oscar Isaac, Carey Mulligan, Kaylee Spaney, and Charles Melton. But he was hired to direct this because he's got cool indie cred. This is always the people that Marvel wants. There's no one more likely to get a Marvel movie than a person who's directed a Sundance winner, a John Green adaptation, and a Netflix comedy drama. It comes from the wonderful writer Eric Pearson, the man responsible for previous Marvel slop, Thor Ragnarok and Black Widow. Probably among my 5 least favorite Marvel movies. And he also has a writing credit on The Fantastic Four, released this summer. Co-wrote this with Joanna Callow, who is one of the co-showrunners of The Bear. So, as you can see here, folks, they're really grasping at current, trendy, topical straws. Now, among the cast, you've got Florence Pugh, beloved young actress, Oscar nominee, but also the star of some I would say, borderline cult films of the past couple of years, although that term gets overused. But films that inspire Halloween costumes. Sure. There's a lot of Florence Pugh Halloween costumes every year.
I probably am on record from our We Live in Time episode saying she is our most watchable movie star.
She's phenomenal. I'm not sure this film is a testament to that.
No, I think this really tests my limits.
It tests your limits. But
what are you doing?
We'll get to that in a sec. You've got Lewis Pullman, a quote-unquote cool young actor who's been in cool stuff, Lean on Pete and whatever. And then you've got they had initially cast Stephen Yeun in this movie, and they cast Ayo Edebiri in this movie. Now, I'm trying to gauge who Stephen Yeun was meant to play. I have to assume he was going to be the Lewis Pullman character, but I don't know. Is it a role that was just cut out entirely? Deadline reports Stephen Yeun joins Thunderbolts in key role that will be significant going forward in future films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think
guess it has to be the Lewis Pullman.
No, I think that's a role that's been cut out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I don't think Stephen Yeun makes sense as the Lewis Pullman character at all. He's too old. The Lewis Pullman character has to have a younger brother dynamic with Florence Pugh, I feel like, because she's trying to be supportive to him. Stephen Yeun is like a guy in his 40s. I don't think that would make sense.
No,
I think he was probably playing a character that just got written out of the film. Yeah. Lucky him. Ayo Edebiri replaced with Geraldine Viswanathan, who I would argue is a slightly more compelling screen presence. As much as I like Ayo as a general funny person, I think that Geraldine is a real star, and good God, does she pull this film single-handedly into watchable territory for me. I will say, the way the film is edited in order to ensure that there is never more than 6 or 7 minutes where her and Julia Louis-Dreyfus are not on screen is one of its strongest attributes. I felt like every time there was an action scene or a how do we get out of this scrape scene that was running a little bit too long, the film would be quite quick to cut away to see what those two characters were up to. And I found that to be a little bit more energetic than the typical Marvel movies editing style. Basically, Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays a character called Valentina, who is she's the head of the CIA? Is she? Who's being impeached.
Yes.
Something like that. She's being impeached.
It.
Wendell Pierce is a congressman who's leading the impeachment against her. There have been so many scenes in Marvel movies set in Senate hearings at this point. Jesus Christ. But anyway, she's being impeached because she runs a company called, Ox Industries or something, where she's doing dodgy business on the side. And she basically employs a bunch of mercenaries. She's been in previous films, pops up.
I'm not a Marvel
knower. Sorry, you have seen none of the projects in which any of these characters previously appear? Am I right?
Correct.
Bar maybe the odd Sebastian Stan Avengers cameo? Yeah.
Apart from that.
Sorry, I'll quickly rattle off. Florence Pugh's character has been in Black Widow.
Yeah.
And the the Hawkeye show.
Sure.
Sebastian Stan has been in loads of stuff. He's been in the first Captain America all the way through to the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. David Harbour's character was in Black Widow. Wyatt Russell was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
I thought David Harbour's character was called Red Scare.
He's called Red Guardian.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's
I
cool.
like the David Harbour character, though. I think he's a well-conceived character, and Harbour is trying his best, and the movies don't know what to do with him.
I agree,
The
because
idea-
they're not willing to lean into the USSR stuff.
No, but the idea of a USSR propaganda TV superhero who takes it really, who has no superpowers, who takes it really seriously and is really gung-ho about fighting for the greater good or whatever, like that's pretty funny, and I feel like in a better series of films would be utilized quite well. I just don't think that
it's like
the
it's a bit
MCU
more
is not
Watchmen-y or whatever.
Yeah,
but
well,
like
there was a lot of Watchmen in this. I think the entire Lewis Pullman character and the fact that he ends up being a shadow floating around in the sky.
Oh, yeah,
that's very Watchmen. Wyatt Russell's character, U.S. agent, who is sort of the fake Captain America that the government installs after the death of Steve Rogers. He's in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
Actually, Mackie was the fake.
No. Wyatt Russell is like the government's
Police
hired guy.
Okay.
Who is meant to be the official Captain America.
Right.
And then Anthony Mackie is like the actual inheritor of the mantle from Chris Evans.
Cool.
But Sebastian Stan, as Bucky, is always kind of throughout the films vying to be Captain America's number 2 guy with Anthony Mackie. So when they kill off Chris Evans, you kind of feel an internal struggle in Marvel of like, we have to give Mackie and Stan the same amount of attention going forward.
Yeah.
So they give them a co-lead TV show, and then they give Mackie the new Captain America movie, but then they have to make Sebastian Stan the co-lead of Thunderbolts. Yeah. A couple months later, I would argue he's not the co-lead of this film, but anyway.
No. For the purposes of this episode, he is.
For the purposes of this episode, he is. Then you have Hannah John Kamen, who is a very annoying actress. I would say she is like all the Spice Girls combined. Just like very annoying English type. Am I being harsh here?
I think so. I don't think she's given near enough to do to
justify.
justify.
She's not awful.
Sorry, are you basing this on other performances?
No, I'm basing this exclusively on this role.
Oh no, there's absolutely nothing in this that you can like.
Being mean. I just found her delivery to be very Spice Girls.
Sure.
She's in Ready Player One apparently. That's a bad sign. Then you have Lewis Pullman's character, who is a new character, and then Olga Kurylenko's character.
What's his name? Sorry.
His name is Bob.
Bob
is his name. Bob is his name.
I feel like they don't say that.
Oh,
in the film.
jeez, not the name
Very
Bob
confusing.
is never funny. But, so Bob jokes.
You call this when we watched the trailer.
Oh my God,
You did.
you're
We
right.
were watching the
You're
trailer.
right. And there's a beat in the trailer of "What's your name?" and I was like, he's gonna say something like, "I'm Bob," and then he went Bob. And I was, every fucking film has a Bob. It's either a Bob or a Steve.
Sorry, he plays Bob in Top Gun.
Yeah, he plays Bob in Top Gun and Bob in this.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Beetlejuice had a Bob, and Minions has a Bob. Hannah John Kamen's character, Ghost, was the villain of Ant-Man and the Wasp, a film that came out 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah. And then Olga Kurylenko's character, Taskmaster, was in Black Widow, and that's it. Those are the returning characters. Sorry, why is Lawrence Fishburne and Rachel Weisz on the cast list of this? They're not in this film.
No.
Incorrect.
Sorry, the question I was going to ask you
ask your
earlier
question.
is, this is built around factory trying to make super people.
I guess.
Has that not been the plot of like 12 Marvel films already?
Yeah, sure. I guess
Is that
so.
not what Captain America is making super guys?
Yeah, but Captain America was made in World War II times, so they're all like Captain America and Sebastian Stan's character both date back to the Second World War. So it moves in cycles. You forget that different Marvel movies are taking place in different times in history.
I just assumed every plot of every one of them is like, how can I make this super guy?
I know.
Some of them are, I make suits. Other ones are, how do I
They're
make...
using Julia Louis-Dreyfus now as kind of a shortcut character who can be like the boss of the team and the villain and this and that, because they're trying not to use Samuel L. Jackson as much. They're trying not to use...
Yeah, she's kind of the replacement there.
She's kind of the replacement for him, but she's also kind of the main villain of this film. So it's a weird the way they're using her. I do think she's actually a lot of fun in this. And as I said, the stuff with her and Geraldine like kept me awake.
Yeah.
Just because it's fun. Because it's like evil, mean boss lady who's involved in the U.S. government, bossing around her assistant, trying to get her to kill people for her and stuff. And then you have Sebastian Stan, who is now a congressman as well for Brooklyn. This is a man who was killing people for the Russians for decades and killed Tony Stark's parents and stuff. It's hilarious that he could be repurposed as a congressman, but they revealed that in Captain America,
something like
Harrison
that would
Ford,
never happen in real
a few
life.
months ago. Yeah, exactly. But Sebastian Stan shows up in this movie. We're not doing any plot here. Florence Pugh's character, Yelena, is the the protagonist of the film. It starts on her. She's doing a narration. So you're like, okay, here's our main character. And then it builds out from there. I think Florence Pugh, incredible actress, very watchable at the worst of times, including in this, but this is one of her weaker performances I've seen. And I would say that's consistent with the previous appearances she's made in Marvel. I don't think this is an interesting character.
I think she's very limited by being made to a Russian accent.
The Russian accent is really limiting on her. She's not good at the accent, and it's just like the accent takes away from a lot of her expression, which is weird because I think she's very good when she does an American accent. I mean, I think her best work is in Little Women doing an American accent. So it's funny that I think it takes away from her doing this one. But there's just nothing going on here.
She's just not trying.
She's not trying.
I think her and Stan are.
They know this is
remarkably
crap.
flat in this. Yeah,
they know it's crap, and I think that
this is getting.
David Harbour seems like he is invested in the material in a way that the two of them are just not, and it's unfortunate because they're both so watchable otherwise, you know.
But they've got much more interesting things.
But it's funny that Sebastian Stan
isn't even Sebastian Stan's best physical deformity movie.
Exactly.
In the last year, like.
But Sebastian Stan has now done probably 10 Marvel movies and TV shows. Yeah. And I have never found him interesting to watch in any of these. And I didn't like him in the first Captain America. I have never liked him all the way through these. And I honestly had to be convinced to like Sebastian Stan in spite of his work in Marvel. So it's crazy to me that this is why he's so popular, is because of these movies. Because to me, this is his weakest work in which he is as uncharismatic as he is capable of being. So
is this a weird case, but is this a case where him persisting with the Marvel stuff has truly opened other opportunities from?
100%. I think so. I think it's good for his career that he's done the Marvel stuff. I do think now is the time to stop.
The time to break.
There's no need for him to be coming back for more after this. I mean, his character gets no development in this whatsoever. He's a really interesting character. This is a guy who's the Winter Soldier. He's brainwashed. He's used to kill people. He's been a Russian agent. He's been this and that. He's a robot man frozen in time. There's loads going on. This is a film where people are tackling their inner grief and their struggle and all this. Sure, he never has anything to say. It's not like he gets involved in any of the conversations. When Florence Pugh,
they don't do any flashbacks to his
nothing about
past.
him. He's just floating around. He just does a couple of cool things with his arm, and that's it.
They even make a joke about it where all of them have a little flashback to the bad things they did, and he goes, "Oh yeah, nothing bad in my past,"
which is a joke, because there's loads of bad stuff in his past. But it's almost a reference to the fact that the movie is just. We're not about him. Yeah, we've done that enough. Like, so it's crazy that he is to discuss the actual credits of the film, insane to me that he's second billed because he should be getting like a with or an and on this. He's such a tertiary character. He just kind of floats around the edges of the movie and then gets involved in two action scenes. Throws a few punches. There's one really cool moment, which is like in the teaser trailer where they're out in the desert in the limo and he basically like rocks up on his bike, does a wheelie on his front wheel, and then flips off his bike and then like shoots with his arm or whatever. And it's like pretty cool. I like the scene in the desert. It looked pretty class in IMAX, I will say.
They pulled off a double Dark Knight truck flip.
Yes, they did. I did think the stuff in the desert was pretty good, but like he's not an interesting part of this movie. But Sebastian Stan's career, for a quick run through, he gets his first Oscar nomination this year for playing Donald Trump in The Apprentice.
It's very funny they introduced him in this as a congressman giving a press conference.
It's hilarious. And he's doing a bad press conference and he's doing a political thing and I'm like, oh, has the Trump thing harmed him? He is now going to be forever an actor whose his first Oscar nomination was for playing Donald Trump. And I worry that if he never gets another Oscar nomination, it'll be the first line of his obituary that he was Oscar nominated for his role as Donald Trump. Now, hopefully, the fact that the film The Apprentice is a little bit not even strongly remembered now, a couple of months after, I hope that like his legacy is able to transcend that film and that role. I think it will. I honestly think that the Marvel stuff will probably help dilute the Trump thing because the first line of his obituary might very well be Sebastian Stan, star of the Marvel movies and who played Trump and got an Oscar.
Do you think there will be another Oscar-nominated Trump role before Sebastian Stan dies?
Before Sebastian Stan dies? Yeah, probably.
Somebody else will.
Oh God, I hope not though.
Oliver Stone will come back and.
Oliver Stone. I don't want to see Oliver Stone's Trump movie. Oliver Stone's Trump movie is going to be endorsed by the Trump administration.
DJ,
yeah.
DJT or
DJT.
whatever.
Yes. No. Rob Reiner will do DJT. He did LBJ.
Oh yeah.
Sebastian Stan though, really like done a major pivot for me in the last year or two. Went from boring Marvel man. If he's in something, I'm going to avoid it.
Yeah, he was probably bordering on
to like
not Jason Clark.
Yeah,
world,
you're right.
but, like,
That bunch of guys. Clark, the Australian.
The
fuckers.
Australians.
Who's the other guy I don't like? Joel Edgerton. Those boring guys. Well, what's
even
telling?
Josh Brolin-y, like.
Even Josh Brolin. What's telling is that when the movie Fresh was released in 2022, I did not seek that film out with him and Daisy Edgar Jones.
Yeah.
And a couple days ago, I was like, that sounds great. I gotta watch that. But like, it's telling, and I have a complex relationship with Daisy Edgar Jones, and that I think she's quite bad in Normal People, but quite watchable and everything else. But like, it's quite telling that I've suddenly reached a point with Sebastian Stan where I'm like, yeah, I watch that. Like that's new. That was not the case.
I think he's got a not slimy charm about him.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
Just nice. He's got a calmness, and like
he's calm. Yeah, he's like low energy.
We threw on a couple episodes of the Tommy and Pam as well, which kind of didn't help his case because he was doing.
No, he's really bad in that, playing Tommy Lee. Awful. That was just a nightmare. And I think his actually one of the weakest things going for him is that he seems to have a pretty committed relationship with that director, Mr. fucking I, Tanya director, whose name I'll remember in about 5 seconds. Although I will say that director has been doing Craig Gillespie has been doing a pretty good job directing episodes of Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple, which I like. But he's in I, Tanya, Sebastian Stan is, and he, I think, was in the mix for a supporting actor nomination for I, Tanya. I'll be honest, I don't remember what he does in that. I think he's just the boyfriend. That film is not interesting. It is an ice skating movie, Alison Janney, ridiculous Oscar win. I don't like that film. But he also worked with that director Gillespie on the movie Dumb Money, which I think he was quite good in. He played Vlad, and that was the first time it clicked for me that he is Romanian. He is an Eastern European gentleman.
He is indeed.
Who is pretending to be Mr. America, Donald Trump, the Winter Soldier.
Make me Captain America.
Yeah,
please.
but he's actually, I think, a part of why he's so interesting to watch is that he's not American. He's like an Eastern European born guy. You know what? It occurred to me halfway through this film, where I was like, half the cast of this film is like either Eastern European or playing Eastern European. Yura Borisov would have fucking been very good in Thunderbolts, wouldn't he?
Sure.
Either of those guys from Menorah, or Mark Edelstein. I was like one of the Russian guys from Menorah. Would be good in this. Anyway, Sebastian Stan was on a TV show called Kings, which is like a silly network show that people like to make jokes about with Ian McShane, where he plays the gay son in a modern take on the David Goliathan story. This show sounds ridiculous. But he's in that in the mid-2009. And his film career kind of starts in earnest around that time, where he pops up in Jonathan Demme's Rachel Getting Married. He pops up in Black Swan, Hot Tub Time Machine. But getting cast in Captain America First Avenger, obviously a big deal. I think... I might be making this up. I think he screen tested for the Captain America role, and then they cast him as Bucky. I feel like they kept doing that, where like Tom Hiddleston was up for Thor, and then they cast him as the brother. Like they kept doing that kind of thing. And then he basically, to me, was just a Marvel guy for years. He's in Ricky and the Flash again, so Jonathan Demme obviously likes him, and he's in. Ricky and the Flash is Jonathan Demme, right? It's not Mike Lee. I'm not being stupid there, folks. Yeah, Jonathan Demme. And then he's in The Martian. Do you remember what he does in The Martian?
I haven't seen The Martian.
You haven't seen The Martian? Oh yeah,
I haven't, but I very distinctly remember the cast of The Martian, and Sebastian Stan is not.
He's
one
one of them.
Guys,
I think, if I had to guess, I think he's up in the ship.
Okay.
I think it's Kate Mara, him, Chastain, and Michael Pena are the other astronauts. But I could be wrong about a few of those. Apparently, he's in Logan Lucky. He's not on the poster though. News to me.
Driver and Craig are funny.
He's not in a lot of good stuff. Is the point I'm trying to make here, folks. But we'll get to one second. He's in a movie called Endings Beginnings, which is a Shailene Woodley, Jamie Dornan, Sebastian Stan three-hander, a Drake Doremus movie that I watched during COVID. And did I even mention him in my review? I said Sebastian Stan's character is so horrifically written. All he ever does is make jokes about suffering. Well, that film sounds awful.
Definitely not like a film we saw today.
No, not at all. Apparently, he's into 355, that weird Chastain, Penelope Cruz.
Oh, the one with all the girls.
Yeah, the one with all the girls.
Yeah.
Fresh, we watched the other day. As a movie
has one outstanding feature,
which is
the credits drop 33 minutes into the film.
Beautiful. This is a film that is about an hour and 50 minutes, and the credits drop 33 minutes.
The first 33 minutes are about
like Daisy Edgar Jones going on dates,
going on their first.
Well, she goes on a couple dates, and then she meets Sebastian Stan, and then she basically is like, I met this guy. I'm going to go away for the weekend with him. She tells her friend about him. All of this
cottage.
Setup. They drive up to his cottage. And he's basically like,
I drugged you.
I'm handcuffing you, and I'm a scary guy. fresh, and then the credits play through. Great stuff. Film otherwise not very good. He's okay in it. I mean, he's just playing a scary guy. I think he's good at playing a scary guy.
He's got a good loud face when he needs to.
Yeah, that movie's just not interesting. Nobody would make that role interesting. He's in a movie called Sharper with Julianne Moore that came out 2 years ago. That's like a weird psychological thriller that was on Apple that nobody really watched. Dumb Money, as we said, and then right around the same time as The Apprentice comes out, he is the star of a wonderful film called A Different Man.
If you listened to our Golden Boy episode, you heard a lot about this.
So I would recommend everyone go back and listen to our Golden Boys episode where we awarded Sebastian Stan Best Actor, and we awarded A Different Man Best Film, and we awarded Adam Pearson Best Supporting Actor, and we basically just accepted that it was the only film last year that either of us felt particularly passionate about. Aaron Schimberg's Different Man, where Sebastian Stan plays a man with serious facial deformities who gets them removed in order to look normal, at which point Sebastian Stan starts looking like Sebastian Stan after looking like
Adam Pearson.
An Adam Pearson, type guy for the first part of the film. And then Adam Pearson shows up and looks like what he used to look like, and they basically start competing for a role in a play that Renat Reinsve has written. And anyway, it's a fantastic, quirky, dark-hearted, little independent fucking genius satire about body image and appearance and acting and narcissism and Sebastian Stan is incredible in it, and I felt such relief being like, oh, we have a great actor here that I didn't know we had. Like, it's great that Sebastian Stan is like secretly great and now will get to be great forever. So I hope he makes more movies like A Different Man. He won a Golden Globe for this film, which I feel like everyone's already forgotten, which I think was the difference between him getting that Oscar nomination and not, even though it was for a different film.
It got the name
because he was up on TV making a speech, and I think him winning that Golden Globe for A Different Man is what pushed him into that fifth Best Actor slot over probably Daniel Craig, who would have been probably the sixth, and that's deserved. I mean, I don't think The Apprentice is a good film, but I think that he deserved that nomination for playing Trump just as much as Daniel Craig did for Queer. I think he's okay in The Apprentice. I mean, that's not a film I liked. I think his impression of Trump is very good, but I don't think that impressions of famous people deserve Oscar nominations. That's really just like a hard line in the sand I have, and I'm stubborn about that. But he's not a co-lead of this film, so we've done a bit of fraud here. But like, as you've heard from that list, there's not really any other boy parties we could do for him unless we were going to do Fresh, or unless we were going to treat the Falcon and Winter Soldier show as a boy party. And I think people would rather we didn't.
Unless they want to subscribe to our Patreon, where we will do that.
I think even for Patreon money, we don't have a Patreon, folks, but even for Patreon money, you're not watching 8 episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
You and Brendan could
Brendan didn't finish Falcon and Winter. Oh, he did. Brendan watches everything. He did. And he'll watch Thunderbolts eventually.
Sure.
Hi, Brendan. He's probably listening to this.
I hope your electricity.
He's listening to this 4 months from now when he's watched this film. That's the thing. Florence Pugh is, however, undisputably the lead of this film. Just about. It is a team movie. I mean, I would say that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is probably the second lead of this film. Sorry, in terms of the rest of the cast, Wyatt Russell is terrible in this, and I thought he was very good in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. So I don't know what happened here.
He's doing a Rick Flag performance.
Yeah, he is. He's doing the Rick Flag performance. His line delivery is very stiff. He's like, "Guys, I am U.S. agent." He's like really stiff. I think Lewis Pullman is really annoying in this. He's doing a real like, "I'm just a guy. I'm a sad guy. Oh, no one likes me. Oh, I'm making things worse. Oh, fuck off." Barry Keoghan ass acting, like annoying Gurgi in the Black Cauldron performance. No, thank you. Nobody else I feel the need to insult here. Everyone else is fine. Wendell Pierce is pretty good. But anyway, Florence Pugh. We love Florence Pugh. She's great. Another Golden Boy nominee. And I'd be giving her a Golden Boy all-timer award for her performance in the film Little Women, which I have famously said is one of the greatest film performances of all time. Something that I stand by. I think about it every day of my life.
While she is in the peak of her powers, that's always going to be a valid opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's very few performances in films ever that I think about as much as I think about her in Little Women.
Yeah.
I just think she's so good in Little Women. I can't even put it into words. I think every scene she has with Chalamet and every scene she has with the mother and every scene she has with Saoirse Ronan is just so incredible. She's playing like a whiny, spoiled brat who is simultaneously so sympathetic. It's just incredible. And she's just like, the American accent like really enhances that role. And I guess when I saw Little Women, I hadn't really like copped who she was properly yet because I hadn't seen Midsommar. So looking here, it's basically the first thing I'd seen her in. And I guess I was like, fucking hell, this woman has presence. Like, and I've never lost that sense, obviously. But the first film that she's credited as being in is the Carol Morley movie, The Falling. Now, I actually know Carol Morley's brother, Paul, who's a music critic. But I haven't seen that film. It's her and Maisie Williams, and it's like a spooky schoolgirl thing. She's like, it's the two of them. Yeah, she's a teenager in it. Yeah. It's 2014. So yeah, we figured out she's a year older than me. Year and a half older than me. So in 2014, she's like 17, I guess. But her breakout role is 2 years after that in Lady Macbeth, which is a film that I think is really boring, but I'm sorry to everyone who likes that film. I know there are people who like it. Produced by a very good Irish producer, Fuller, Cronin O'Reilly. The movie's by William Oldroyd, but I've never I watched it in the middle of COVID. I was just like, fuck, I'm going to watch all the Sebastian or the Florence Pugh movies I haven't seen. And I didn't like that. I wrote the review, Pugh can't change the fact that English people stuck inside their manners doesn't make for interesting cinema, and I couldn't hack this. I'm sorry. I thought that film was really boring. It's just her being very pouty and mannered, walking around a big house. It's not very exciting.
Sure.
2018, then she shows up in a film a rare film that you've seen that I haven't.
Yeah.
The Commuter.
Yeah.
Do you remember what she does in The Commuter?
I do remember what she does in The Commuter.
How long is her hair in The Commuter? You can judge how good a Florence Pugh performance is by the length of the hair.
Longish, and it's pink. Liam Neeson is basically tasked with finding either a bag or a specific person on this train, and she comes on as basically a pink-haired left-wing college student.
The woke mob. The woke mob has come for Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Pink hair and pronouns.
I'd imagine so. And she bounces around as a suspect for a while because she carries a bag and might be politically threatening.
Yeah, she is politically threatening.
She is.
Florence Pugh can politically threaten me.
Commuter is a film I'm very fond of because it does.
It's set on a train.
It makes great use of trains where you can introduce new characters at every stop. And get rid of other. Jonathan Banks is the first guy.
Bullet Train does that badly, but I believe you that this does it well. Yeah. Jonathan Banks is in it.
Just the first act. Florence Pugh does the second act. Patrick Wilson shows up in the third act.
I must watch it.
And also has one of the best credit graphics that I really like, where the credits are laid out like a train stop map.
Oh, that's very good.
So it's kind of going in different directions, and every stop is like a new name.
And what stop is Florence Pugh at, I wonder? She's probably split with a couple of other people because she wasn't famous at the time.
I don't know. I think she probably got her own. There's a lot of stops on a train.
Very nice. Yeah, that's true. And the same year as that, she's in a King Lear, I'm guessing TV filmed version of King Lear from Notes on a Scandal director Richard Eyre, in which King Lear is played by one of next week's actors that we're discussing, Anthony Hopkins. This thing has some cast.
She would have been fun in Notes on a Scandal if it was being made today.
Oh my God. Okay, if you made Notes on a Scandal today, Blanchett as the Judi Dench character. No, you can't. No. She's still too young and glamorous. Yeah. Who could do Judi Dench character now? Olivia Colman. Olivia Colman, Florence Pugh. That'd be really good.
That's really good.
Anthony Hopkins, Emma Thompson as Goneril, Emily Watson as Regan, Florence Pugh as Cordelia, Jim Broadbent as the Earl of Gloucester, Jim Carter as the Earl of Kent, Andrew Scott as Edgar. That sounds great. Christopher Eccleston's in it. I'm King Leared out from Leaving Cert, but I might watch that. That's an amazing. Have we watched a film version?
We
watched the Gielgud version.
VCR.
It's the Gielgud version we watched in school. I would watch this honestly with all of them, just to be a Florence Pugh completist. Now, 2019, obviously, she stars in the film Midsommar, which comes out in the summer and is a huge hit, and that image of her going is forever ingrained in Letterboxd's top fucking 50 most popular films, whatever. I started watching Midsommar, folks. I turned it off after 25 minutes. I ain't watching that shit. That's a film. That's a sick in your hands film. I'm not gonna make myself sick.
I might get around to that someday.
You'll be able for it. Yeah. I have a weak stomach. I can't watch a film that starts with someone gassing their own parents in the home. Jesus Christ, that film is so unpleasant. I'm happy for everyone who loves it. Sure. I ain't watching that. She plays the woman in a Netflix Chris Pine King movie called Outlaw King. I'm not watching that. And then she's the star of the Le Carré BBC adaptation, The Little Drummer Girl, which is directed by Park Chan-wook.
I really hope some like marketing executive listens to our podcast.
And whenever I say I ain't watching that, they make a
based
note.
entirely off looking at who's in it and what the poster is.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
I've seen a lot of these though. The Little Drummer Girl is a show she's in. It's like a Cold War thriller with Michael Shannon, Alexander Skarsgård, and her. She's very good in this. I didn't finish it because I honestly do struggle with like Cold War espionage stuff. I just find it a little bit hard to get into. But I thought she was great in this. She's playing like a fucking Hitchcockian blonde kind of leading lady, like very glamorous 60s woman in London who gets pulled into this conspiracy. And honestly, I was like, this is a great use of Florence Pugh. And then also in 2019, she's in loads of stuff this year. She's in a movie called Fighting with My Family, which I watched earlier today. And this is a film directed by the brilliant Stephen Merchant, star of Ricky Gervais's friend. And it is a movie about a young woman who is the child of professional wrestling enthusiasts, Nick Frost and Lena Headey, and she is pulled into the world of the WWE and she becomes a wrestler in the US. And I think it's a true story. And her brother's played by Jack Lowden, Florence Pugh's husband. Nice connection there, Little Women connection. And it's a charming film. I liked it. Her dad's played by Nick Frost, as I said. Vince Vaughn plays like the...
Saoirse Ronan.
What?
What?
Who?
Jack Lowden.
Jack Lowden, married to Saoirse Ronan.
You said Florence Pugh's husband.
I said Florence Pugh's husband.
You did.
Apologies. Saoirse Ronan's husband, hence the Little Women connection. That's what I meant to say. Sorry. Nick Frost is the dad. Vince Vaughn plays the horrible American WWE coach guy. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shows up playing himself in a couple scenes. I found this film quite charming. It's better than Thunderbolts. So honestly, would recommend watching that instead of Thunderbolts if you haven't seen it. Little Women then is just incredible use of her as Amy March. I love that film so much. We'll probably do it someday on the podcast, but she's fantastic in that. Black Widow comes out 2 years after Little Women. It gets delayed a year by COVID. And by the time Black Widow's out, I am, on the Pugh train. Pew, pew. It was meant to be a choo-choo train joke.
I like that.
The commuter, choo-choo. And I think that Black Widow is one of the worst Marvel movies. It's an absolute slog. It's a movie that starts with a fucking Nirvana cover over the opening credits and it goes downhill from there. A really, really terrible film. Her and David Harbour, though, clearly the standouts of that film. So I was not unhappy to see them coming back for Thunderbolts.
What is their relationship in this?
Father and daughter.
Oh, they are father and daughter.
Yeah, so David Harbour is adoptive father.
Okay.
So he is he's the adoptive father of Scarlett Johansson as well, who I would say is probably 4 or 5 years younger than David Harbour. Well, Scarlett Johansson, deceptively young person. So
is probably mid.
David Harbour was born in 1975, and Scarlett Johansson was born in 1984. So 9 years difference. Yeah, I mean he's playing older in this. His gray beard.
Sure.
But that film sucks, and it has one of our least favorite actors in it, O.T. Fagbenel from Presumed Innocent, the weird guy.
I know.
Yeah, he's in Black Widow.
I wouldn't declare him one of my.
He's one of my least favorite actors.
It's a bad performance.
Florence Pugh was then in an Irish film called The Wonder, and she was in Dublin, and you saw her outside the lighthouse.
I did.
Yeah,
I. Specifically,
when you went down to look for Florence.
This cinema
creepy stalker behavior by Shane Kelly.
About a kilometer from my house.
Creepy stalker behavior on Mike.
I was probably at the gym or something. I was
stalking on Main. Yeah,
I was like,
that's not true. You were not going home from the gym. I'm outing you here. You went down because you were like, I might get a glimpse of Florence Pugh. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? Who among us wouldn't?
And you know what? I fully believe she looked at me.
Yes. Well, friend of the show, Katie Brady, was at that screening and was in the room with Florence.
Oh, very
Pugh.
good.
In hindsight, I missed that by about a month.
Yeah.
If I'd been in my current job when that was on, I would have gotten to be in the same space as Florence Pugh. So that sucks. Yeah. Don't Worry, Darling came out the same year. That's a real case of her making something watchable. Like that is a 2-star film that she absolutely pulls into 3-star territory.
Pulling off the American accent again.
Pulling off the American accent, just watching her wandering around looking freaked out. I'm like, well, this is a real movie star. I'm interested in what she needs to do here. Like, and Harry Styles is terrible in that, and she makes up for that. She does the voice of Goldilocks in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which is a really good performance. This is like a badass Goldilocks who fights, and she keeps the bears as her goons.
Okay.
Then she starts off a relationship with Zach Braff, which is the first red flag about her as a human being, I would say. But they're out the other end now. But she stars in his movie A Good Person, which by all accounts is terrible.
Okay.
And then since then, she's been in 3 films, and those films are Oppenheimer, Dune Part 2, and We Live in Time. Very quick thumbs up, thumbs down. I think she's fantastic in Oppenheimer.
I think it gets a little bit lost in
It's a little bit lost
retroactively
because she's only in the first hour of 3,
Yeah.
but she is great in her scenes. I mean, yes, a lot of her time on screen is spent having sex with Oppenheimer naked, but I think she's very good in those scenes and maintaining a bit of humanity and emotion in those scenes. I just think all of her scenes with Oppenheimer are really good. And like when she gets killed off, you feel her absence immediately.
Yeah.
You also feel in that film a real pull of like, I do get why this guy would cheat on Emily Blunt with Florence Pugh or go hang out with his ex.
You can see the mystery around her.
You can see how she would pull someone back in even after he's moved on to a new relationship.
Funny pairing, Cillian Murphy and Florence
A very
Pugh.
weird pairing, I know. Yeah, I doubt we'll ever see that pairing again. Like
I doubt it.
Then she's in Dune as the princess, which is like fine. I mean,
Again, another film where she
fine.
justifies the lead leaving their main woman.
Exactly, I know, this is a recurring
and
thing.
you're like, yeah, sure.
And then We Live in Time. Why is her character in We Live in Time called Almut Brühl?
Oh, she's
Bizarre.
Scandinavian of
She's
sorts.
meant to be Scandinavian.
Yeah.
So basically, Renat Reinsford could have played that part, basically, is what you're saying. Anyway.
I like Renat, but I don't know.
I like them both. But Florence Pugh, very good in that film. I think he's probably got a slightly more interesting character in that film because a lot of her business in that is just being sick and having cancer and also cooking. And I know Florence Pugh loves cooking and does a lot of cooking on Instagram, but I find it boring watching people in the kitchen. So the parts of We Live in Time where she's cooking are not the most exciting for me. And now she's in Thunderbolts. Is Thunderbolts going to be a boost to her career? I don't think it'll make a big difference.
No.
But I do think if this movie quietly gets to 500 million worldwide, I think,
that's the trajectory this is on.
I don't know. It's a Marvel movie. I'm saying it's always in the realm of possibility. Probably more of a 300 job, but you never know. If this movie overperforms, I think she'll be getting more credit for that than anyone else in the cast.
But she won't get slated if it flops.
No, I don't think she'll get saved if it flops at all. I think if it flops, people will say correctly,
Marvel film.
well, she was under contract. This whole movie is just people who were under contract from 6 years ago who
Very
got
much
stuck.
so.
Now, the next couple films she's in, Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, Dune 3, these are not interesting things for her to be doing. I want her to get out of this franchise space as fast as possible. She doesn't need to be doing it.
She can't be having fun doing this. There's no way.
No. If you're being offered parts in she's not in the Odyssey, is she? That's a pity. If you're being offered parts in Oppenheimer and stuff like that, you don't need to be taking roles in more franchises. So I would like to think that she's going to continue doing interesting stuff. She's really only in about 10 films. So like,
And you know what? She's really very young.
she's very young. She's achieved an awful lot for how few films she's been in.
But she also weirdly kind of like in We Live in Time, she's playing 5-6 years older than herself.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I think her kind of image and brand will probably last another good 10 years.
I think she can get away now with playing a 26-year-old or a 36-year-old, and that's impressive.
Yeah.
But she's got one Oscar nomination for Little Women, which she absolutely should have won, although she did lose to Laura Dern, so I can't get mad about it. And 2 BAFTA nominations, which I'm guessing are for... God, what would the second one be for? That's an interesting question.
BAFTAs.
What's her second BAFTA
First one, Lady
nomination?
Macbeth.
Oh, I think you're probably right.
Yeah, I feel like she got some.
Yeah,
awards
Rising
spread around.
Star nominee. Yeah, 2018.
No, has she done TV?
Yeah, The Little Drummer Girl. We just talked about it.
Oh, we did.
Okay.
Apologies.
Thank
Oh.
you. All right, that's it, everybody. That's our episode. We hope
Anything
you've
good to
enjoyed.
say about this?
No, that's our episode.
Oh, I just want to point
There
out.
were good things in Thunderbolts. There's moments I liked. This film starts in the middle of an action scene with Florence Pugh, with her like jumping off a high building and fighting a bunch of guys, and I was like, I'm into this for a while.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene where the 5 characters have to like get up a pipe
Yeah.
on the inside where they press all their backs
And they
against
kinda
the
crab
wall,
crawl up-
and they
crawl
kind of
up the
crab
wall.
crawl up the wall. That scene was good and like made me feel dizzy with the height stuff. It was good.
The other thing I want to point out is that like an unprecedented amount of people went to the toilet during this film.
Unbelievable. There was probably 300 people in the room, and I would say that 220 people went to the toilet at one point or another during the film. We were among probably 20% who didn't. I've never seen anything like it, and we have established
And
it is
50% of the people who went to the toilet
went more than
ran.
once. Oh, sprinted. So the people who sprinted were enjoying the film, but have small bladders.
And are also children, kind of.
Yeah,
or-
and the people who didn't sprint were bored. That's my
Yeah.
estimation. That's how you know if someone was enjoying it or not. Did they run or did they not care? Like, I went to the toilet during Accountant 2 and I sprinted.
Yeah.
But then I got a text I had to read in the toilet, so I got delayed. But anyway, and I missed the entire exposition about one of the main characters. Anyway, save that for Accountant 2 discussion on our upcoming Ben Affleck episode, whenever that is.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the Thunderbolts episode. I would not recommend this film, unfortunately. I think it is okay as Marvel movies go. It is not the worst,
Yeah,
but it is not a good film.
Before we started recording, I was going to ask you, how polite do we have to be about this, given that it's a new release discussion? Are we going to try and...
No need to be polite.
No need to be
Why
polite.
Why would we be polite?
For monetary and...
No one's listening.
No one's
No,
listening.
as in, sorry, anyone who tunes into this episode isn't going to not listen because we're negative about the movie.
Oh, I think there might be that.
You think?
Do you think anyone stumbles across... first
Yeah,
episode dropped on
maybe.
Thunderbolts and like...
I don't know.
what's this?
So where am I putting this on my Marvel ranking? Because
let's
me and Brendan have done the Marvel ranking episode. So I'm going to decide now on a whim where I'm putting it. So I've got 43.
Did I enjoy
projects.
Deadpool and Wolverine more than this?
I think this is better than Deadpool and Wolverine. There's a horrible, nasty cynicism to Deadpool
There
and
is.
Wolverine that this doesn't have. This does not have lots of cameos, stupid references. It's not winky, nudgy,
It isn't,
nasty
but
bullshit.
this
film is
has
pretty
a-
earnest. Like, has earnest.
But it has a level
earnest
of
writing.
cookie cutter lack of
know,
effort
I
that
know.
really, really annoys
Deadpool
me.
and Wolverine is more memorable moments, but it has more contempt for the audience.
I've never been able to identify an act structure more than like in a Marvel film.
You never noticed about what?
Like an act.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. This film doesn't have one. No, it has a midway point, but it doesn't have 3 acts. I am going to put this film at number 25. I'm going to put it above Captain America: Civil War
Okay.
and below Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. I'm putting it just above Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Deadpool and Wolverine, Thor: Love and Thunder, Incredible Hulk, Loki. Effectively, I am putting it at the absolute high end of the 2-star tier and at the low end of the 3-star tier. It's going below as well Avengers: Infinity War, Hawkeye, WandaVision, Black Panther, Guardians 2.
One
Yeah.
weirdly phrased fact I saw earlier today is that this is the exact midpoint in length of Marvel films.
Oh,
I
interesting.
think so.
No, that
that's
can't be
the-
true.
What
Most
did
of
I
them are
read?
longer than this.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the shorter Marvel films. No, there's very few Marvel films.
Sorry,
under
I
2
read
hours.
some
that
bad
can't be
information.
true. Couldn't be true.
I'm misremembering that, I think.
because there's so few Marvel films under 2 hours that this couldn't possibly be the midpoint. This is
was some weird-
sorry. It is worth noting that I have Black Widow at the bottom of my Marvel ranking. I hate that film.
So, big improvement on
Big
that.
improvement on that. Thank you for tuning in to our Thunderbolts episode. If you have never listened to the show before, we do an episode every Tuesday. You can visit boypartypod.com to see all our episodes. And we'll be back next Tuesday with the 2 popes discussing real popes, fake popes, and everything in between, the careers of Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce.
16th shortest film.
No, it's not an interesting fact in the
I know.
slightest.
Terrible.
We are also doing the 25 best films of the last 25 years with bonus episodes. We've done 2 so far on Hugo and the Judge. You can tune in and listen to those on our feed. Follow the show on Blue Sky and Instagram, Boy Party Pod. I have been Lucien. He has been Shane. We are not the Thunderbolts. We are
We're the Asterix.
the Asterisk. Boy Party Asterisk. And we'll be back next Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.